Good morning, Flosstube. Today is Tuesday, July 17th. I'm Misty, and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you came to check me out. And if you've been here before, thanks so much for coming back. It's been a busy couple of weeks, and I'm getting back here just a little bit later than I thought I would. My mom was visiting, and she stayed a little bit longer, but I'm back. So I wanted to start off with announcing the winner of the Cricut Collection chart. That was Threadsallover, Caroline, and I contacted her and let her know that she won the chart. So congratulations, Caroline. Hope you get a chance to stitch those up soon. They're so cute, the 12 days ornaments. So congratulations. Lots of goings on. So one thing that was really cool that happened recently, and I mentioned in my last video that I would be meeting up with another Flosstuber. So a couple of weeks ago, Helen D came into town. She was driving from Maine down to visit family in West Virginia, I think it was. And they decided to stay over in State College, which was awesome. So they got here in the evening and checked into their hotel. And she and I met up for dinner at a restaurant that's just by her hotel and hung out and chatted and had a great time. It was just such a treat to meet her. So I felt really lucky that she was coming my way and was able to stop. People that I've met so far, they're all just like they are in their videos. They're all wonderful, and Helen's no exception. She was just as fun in person as she is in her videos. And this might sound strange, but there's something really cool about meeting people in 3D. So, you feel like you know people, you see them on Flosstube, but then when you can see them like in 3D, in person, there's just something kind of extra cool about that. That's hard to explain why that's extra cool. And maybe I'm the only person who feels that way, but for me, it was very cool getting to see Helen in person. And it's more interactive conversation than just like talking to myself on a video or listening to someone talk to themselves on a video. So that was really fun. And so we had a little, we each made each other some gifts. And so I gave her a needle minder with a cat on it, a Halloween cat. And I saw that she found some really cool coordinating fabric to go with her needle minder. So I suspect there's a project bag in Helen's future. And then I gifted her a pair of tiny mittens that I had knit. And then Helen gave me a really awesome gift. So if you've seen her video, then you know already what she gave me. She gave me one of the Prairie Schooler Santas, the one with the dead lobster in his pack. Awesome. So one, I love it because it reminds me of Helen in Maine, and then specifically I love it because of the dead lobster and her comment about it in her videos, so it makes it extra special. I love how she finished it. It's beautifully finished. Her stitching is beautiful. She's a really beautiful stitcher. I love the knot that her husband made, so it's lovely, and I was not about to put this away, so it's been sitting on my side table by my couch so that I can admire it. I think the Santa is pretty seasonless, so he's just gonna stay out. So I love him. Thank you so much, Helen. So I thought I would insert a photo of our meetup in case you didn't catch a photo of it on either my Instagram or her Instagram. So I'll insert the photo here. Okay, so after seeing Helen, I just kind of worked like crazy before my mom came. And so my mom got into town a week ago. And we had such a great time. We went to the arts festivals in town because there's two of them. We went to thrift shops and antique stores and did some mother-daughter DIY bonding stuff involving a hacksaw and drilling and stuff like that. That's our version of mother-daughter bonding, is DIY projects. So that was cool. And I found like a ton of awesome stuff. Like I found so much great stuff that, again, I was just feeling really lucky. Like I should have played the lotto. Like I mentioned a while ago when I had like a really good antiquing day. It felt like that. So I won't show this right now, but I found this piece that I've seen on someone else's Instagram account that she'd found at a thrift shop that she's using for her cross stitch. And I was like, oh my gosh. I thought maybe if I were really lucky, I might find that same thing one day. And I found it. So yeah, I should have played the lotto. But I'll show you that when I've got a finished piece on it. So I'll do like a big unveiling. But I was super thrilled. And just a bunch of other really cool things that I could display my cross stitch on. A little red, I don't know what to call it, frame kind of thing with a little shelf and some pegs underneath it. And I might have to repaint it just to be more seasonless, but we'll see. Anyway, that's really cool. I found some other things. I found some things I want to use for Christmas craft projects. I've been fooling around on Pinterest, which is always a rabbit hole. And I saw all these cute Christmas decorations that I would like to try making. So I've been collecting things like Old Spice tins, not Old Spice like the cologne, but like old nutmeg tins, things like that. And some old Jello molds, and there'll be some bottle brush trees involved. And I've got like probably 3 or 4 different project ideas that I'm thinking of doing this fall that I'm really excited about. Take anything else? It was mostly decor stuff and finishing stuff, and it was just really fun, and we had a really good time together. My mom found some cool stuff too for her holiday displays. So her visit was great, and so I'll show you I'll just go out of order, whatever. In my last video, I mentioned or showed a cross-stitch project that I had made for my mom years ago, and it had never been framed, and that I was going to frame it. So I framed it like the day that she was getting here, and she actually called me as I was at the frame shop finishing it up to say that like she was having car problems, which luckily they were able to resolve pretty quickly and send her on her way. But I got that framed, and they were nice enough to let me just do the framing in the back while they were there, because I was like, my mom is coming, I'm on a deadline. They'd just gotten the frame in the day before and gotten it ready. It wasn't bad to stretch that little girl with the goat, and the frame looked really nice with it, and they just kind of helped me do the spacers and the glass. I did want to put glass on it for my mom, especially since it was something that would be out all year. I thought it would be better if I did put glass on it. She lives right next to the railroad tracks. There's a lot of dust in her house. Heck, there's a lot of dust in my house. And I know that she'd probably prefer the glass. So anyway, she loved the frame, and she loved the piece framed. And it just felt so satisfying that after all these years, like 15 years maybe, that I finally got that piece finished and framed and ready for display. So here's a photo of the finished girl with the goat piece. Okay, so just a couple other things I wanted to mention. I wanted to say congratulations to Chelsea on the birth of Cash, and also congratulations to Priscilla. I was really happy for them, and just like everyone is, it's just so great. So congratulations. The 'Tis the Season Stitch Along is coming up. I think it's Labor Day weekend, but I've heard different dates floating around. So maybe we should all check with Lynette as to whether we're starting Labor Day weekend. I'm not sure. One of those days we're starting. And it probably doesn't really matter, but I'd like to know which day it is. I'm really excited about it. I've got most of the Belsois silks that are called for. But I also ordered Nancy Turner's floss pack, and I wanted to try some of those flosses as well. And I'm going to try dyeing my own fabric for it. I'm going to use a 40 count Newcastle, so I'm going to dye the white linen. I've pulled a fabric from my stash that I like the color of, and so I'm going to try to match that, like quilt fabric. I pulled quilt fabric from my stash, and I'm going to try and match dyeing some linen to that kind of similar color. So we'll see if I can do it. It'll be an experiment. What else? Oh, so about the Stitch Along, there's a Facebook group, and you can join that, or you can, join in on Instagram, however you want to participate. There's more information on the Facebook group or in Lynette's videos. So if you need any information about ordering the floss pack or anything else, I would check out Lynette's channel or join the Facebook group. I'll link the Facebook group in the notes in case you need that. And if you have trouble finding the chart, the group has some sources listed, and you could try calling like a local needle workshop, because I've seen the Home for the Holidays chart in various needle workshops. So you should, even if it disappears from the internet, I think you can still get it from an LNS. Okay, so one of my FOs was the girl with the goat, getting that framed. And I finished weaving a set of towels, and this was my first time using a navy warp and then adding color in the weft. A lot of times I've used like white or natural, and so this was my first time working with navy. I've been really excited about it because I thought it would make the colors pop, and it really did. So I have one towel left, and it's in my Etsy shop, and it's this one here. And this was one of my favorites. It's Mediterranean blue. And I just kind of liked how it glowed with the navy. I think it's so pretty. Every time I wove a towel, that one was my favorite, but this one probably was actually my all-time favorite. It's kind of cool. You know, if you look at the cone of the actual yarn and then look at the towel, you can see that they're the same, but there's just like such a different effect by having incorporated the navy. So that was just a lot of fun for me to play around with that. And I definitely will have to use navy again with blues and greens because I really, really enjoyed it. No project is without problems. So I had got like 4 threads break in the middle of the weaving. I had no idea why. It was like in the middle of the warp. It wasn't even like on an edge. So that was a very stressful point in the project where stuff just kept going wrong, and I didn't know why. I'm really good at fixing thread breakages now. And after like kind of I got through that section, I didn't have any other problems. So I don't know. I don't know if the yarn was just weak in that area or what. But that was my little, you know, trial and tribulation part of this particular project. I don't have threads break very often, and I definitely don't have more than like 1 break. So that was unusual. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not sure what happened there. But I pressed on. So what else am I doing? I've been doing the Christmas in July stitch along with Jackie of Cross My Stitches. And I finished a couple of my ornaments. So we're doing the Cricut Collection 12 days. And Jackie has kind of moved on at this point. She got, I think, 2 ornaments done, and she needed to get back to her Satsuma Street Halloween kitty, which I totally understand because, to be quite honest, I'm really in a fall and Halloween mood right now. Christmas in July seems like a good idea, but it seems too early, I realize now, somehow. Like, I think it maybe should be like Christmas in September and fall and Halloween in like July and August. Which is why the Cardinal Stitch Along is in September, probably. So anyway, I stitched and finished day 9 of the 12 Days of Christmas from the Cricut Collection. I love this woodpecker, it's so cute. I was really looking forward to stitching it, and I really enjoyed it. And it took me about 4 days maybe to finish. I've been really quite busy lately, so if I had a little bit more time, I might be able to make more progress. And then I just finished, I think this was yesterday, day 10, which is supposed to be the pipers. So you got a little flute down here, and then a bunch of chubby little birds flying and perched around. And so then I just have one left, if you can believe that. After, what, a decade maybe of working and not working on it, mostly not working on it, all that's left is the penguin. So even though I do feel like moving on to Halloween, I'm going to stitch this because honestly, I'm this close to done. And I'm excited about that. So, probably later today, I will start stitching the penguin. Anything else I want to say about that? No. Whips. So those were new starts finishes since the last video. The only other thing I've worked on lately, with having my mom here and being busy with weaving and what have you, is the American flag quilt sampler. And so I think the last time that I saw you, I was like closing in on finishing Massachusetts. So I did finish Massachusetts. And then I recently finished Maryland. And then this morning I finished the backstitching on South Carolina. And that probably took me about an hour and a half to backstitch all of South Carolina. One thing I realized on Maryland is that usually you do the backstitching first and fill in, but there's a lot of non-diagonal stitches that are kind of cream. And it really covered up my backstitching, so then I ended up having to restitch it. So in this case, for Maryland, I would have been better off just filling in the regular sections that are not diagonal and then doing the backstitching because I had to redo it. In the center, this should be cream, just like the exterior is, but I just decided to leave it unstitched because I liked how clean it looked, and I actually thought about not filling in with the cream in any of this, but I thought it might look unbalanced. I wasn't sure if it would stand out too much in comparison to the others, which are kind of a blend of stitching and non-stitching. But anyway, the middle you are supposed to stitch in cream, and I just left it, and I liked how it looked. Really looking forward to stitching South Carolina. It's so pretty. This is just, I'm really enjoying this, and it's a pleasure to work on. So it's a great project. What else? I have a couple things of haul. I purchased this because one, Helen's been stitching it and I couldn't help myself. And two, once I bought that display piece I was talking about for my cross stitch, I had to figure out what cross stitch I was going to display on it. And I decided to do Prairie Schooler. I thought about doing every month, but my mother thinks that's a lot. She's probably right. It's like a, 5-year project for me at the rate I am going. So what I decided to do instead, after talking it over with my mom a little bit, so this is what I think I'm going to do, is I'm going to pick like my favorite one from each season and then call it the season instead of the month. So instead of saying like July brings, I'll just say summer brings. I'll just have to kind of adjust it. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I've got the June one, and I've got January. So I just do the same winter, spring. And then I think what I'm going to do for fall, I'm not in love with the November and October ones. So I think I'm going to do When Witches Go Riding as my fall one. So I would probably start stitching that soon, like as in yesterday, ideally. So that's one of my plans for like the next year. My plans are always evolving. So I make a plan. My plan was the August 1st. I really wanted to do Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. And sometime in August, I really wanted to start the Chalk for the Home Autumn. But now I'm doing this. So I don't know what's happening. And I've thought about, well, just start them all. And there is an appeal to that because, you know, people who do like Stitch Mania, there's like that relief of like all these things that you want to start, you finally start them. But then when I watch people's videos and they talk about having all those projects, they're still kind of frustrated that they can't keep working on any one of them because they got to rotate them or whatever. So I feel like, and they're probably fine with that, but I feel like what would happen is I'd still feel just as frustrated that I couldn't work on the things I'd started as I do right now, feeling frustrated that I can't start them all. So it probably makes no difference, except for the like level of stuff that's in the back of my mind. So I'm trying to keep that level low as possible because there's always a lot there. Anyway, so all that is to say that soon I will be starting the When Witches Go Riding, and then I'll do January, and then I'll do June, and then a year from now you'll probably see that I'll have finished this. The other enhancement was this piece. I saw Betty Eulin doing this on Instagram, And then Jackie of Cross My Stitches was showing it, and I've been like obsessing over it a bit. And then Jackie was like, hey, there's a chart on eBay for a good price. So thank you, Jackie, for your assistance and enabling me to get this. Again, this will probably be a next year kind of thing, because I don't think I've got any time left to do it. One other kind of thing I wanted to show you that I just picked up today. I was at Michael's and I saw this little box. This is from their summer collection, and it's going, it's getting marked down. And I was thinking that maybe my winter welcome from the Drawn Thread would fit on this. And sure enough, it just fits. It's a little close on the sides, but that's pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is use this box, use the back of it. I'm going to finish this. I can always finish it a bit wider if I want to with the fabric around it, put a fabric edge, and then I'll just change it out. And then this can just sit like flat, on a table like this. And then if I ever decide I don't want to display it that way or I want the box back, then I can just, lay it flat and use the box. Or get another box, whatever. They're, a few bucks. So this was a good find today, and I'm excited that now I have a way to finish my Drawn Thread piece, which you would have seen months ago if you happened to catch that video. So I was excited about that. And lastly, for my From the Archives, I was going to do a video with a tour of my wall hangings. I've been meaning to do that for months. My videos have been long. But it's a rainy, gloomy, stormy day here, and you won't be able to see the quilts that well. So I'm going to postpone that, and then I'll just film it when it's nicer. So I thought I would talk about a couple of scarves that I've made as my From the Archives. So my From the Archives are two things. This is something that I wove on my rigid heddle loom, not on my floor loom, but years ago in 2015. I have a small rigid heddle loom. That's how I got started weaving. And by the way, if you're interested in a little bit more information about weaving and like maybe less expensive ways to get into weaving, like rigid heddle looms, let me know if you'd be interested. I could do maybe like a separate video talking about how you might get into weaving and resources for finding like used weaving equipment. So if there's something you're interested in, I probably wouldn't do it as part of this video, but I could do it as a separate video. Just let me know. And if there's not interest, it's no big deal. Just thought I would ask. Anyway, I did this on my rigid heddle loom. And, you think of those as being very basic, but you can use what are called pickup sticks to pick up patterns. And so this is something that, you could weave on a more complex floor loom, but I actually did this on a simpler loom, just using pickup sticks. So this is a 8 harness pinwheel scarf. I used knitting yarn for this, and then I twisted the fringe. And so I used Island Yarn River, and that would be the very red-orange. And then I used Malabrigo Rios, which is kind of the darker brownish orange color. And I have a really nice scarf. So, you can do really beautiful things, and you don't have to necessarily spend thousands of dollars on weaving equipment to do it. And if you're a knitter, this gives like additional options for yarn that you have sitting around that you're like, what am I going to do with this? Oh, I have too much yarn. Makes you think about yarn in a different way. I think when you move into weaving, you start to see additional possibilities for your stash, which is a big bonus. And you can weave faster. So this, I could never have knit this quickly if I were to knit this. This took me 10 days to weave. I worked on it pretty steadily, so I would say that this is kind of a slower time investment kind of project, but 10 days, I don't think I could knit something this nice. Not that you could knit this, but a scarf of this size and this weight of yarn, I don't know that I could knit this in 10 days. I'm sure I couldn't. So that's that. And I'll put a link. There are instructions on Ravelry as to how to go about making one of these scarves. So if you happen to be a weaver and you're interested, I will link where you can go on Ravelry to learn how to do this. The other thing I wanted to share as a From the Archives is this infinity scarf, which doesn't show up real well in this lighting, This is Madeline Tosh DK, and this is Cousteau. And this is a really nice pattern designed by my friend Cynthia Spencer. Her designs are called Really Clear because she obsesses and rewrites her patterns until they're like really, really good. Like you won't be confused when you do them. So I just wanted something kind of fun and easy, and this fit the bill. It was like interesting because it's got cabling, but you're only crossing your cables, you know, infrequently. And then there's a bit of ribbing here. And I loved this because one, well, you know, Madeline Tosh is nice and squishy. And this is the perfect length. I used one skein so I can wear it hanging down like this, and it just looks nice like this. Or I can wrap it around. And if it's cold out, I can have it closer to my neck. And it's just perfect. So one skein's about 225 yards, I think. And I just love this. Now I usually do wear it hanging down more. But like I said, if it's cold and I need more coverage, then I just wrap it around a second time and it's great. This would be a really good project for you if, one, you just want something that's relatively quick and easy, or if you're a newer knitter who has not done cabling, this would be a good intro to cabling because you're just crossing your cable every so often. It's not a complex cable. If you're looking for a fun project, this is called Water Wheel, and I will link it as well. That's all I got. Hopefully I'll have a little more progress in a couple of weeks, so I'll be back as usual on Saturday in a couple weeks, and I don't know, I'll stitch as fast as I can so I have a little bit more to show next time. Hope you have a great couple of weeks. I hope you get lots of stitching time in, and just wish that you be well. Take care.